Learning and understanding art or any art form also means to indirectly learn and understand about the prevalent social, political, and cultural scenarios of that particular time. I would not be wrong in saying that art form in any way has always been a reflection of the society. And cinema has been one such form of art which has been popular across generations and which has been significant by not just by the virtue of the value of entertainment that it brings along, but also by the way in which it shapes the society decade after decade. I thought this to be a very important discussion. So I have with me today for this episode of Hashtag's Human Library podcast, Mr. SMM Ausaja, who is the author, a renowned film historian, and a cinema archivist who has been researching Indian cinema since 1989. He has collected, preserved, archived, and restored the remarkable and one of the largest private collections of posters and other film memorabilia. He has worked for TV software production for established companies and simultaneously wrote cinema columns in reputed magazines. He has directed documentaries on Lata Mangeshkar, Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, and Hema Malini, which were telecasted on primetime television. His debut book, Bollywood in Posters, was released in 2009 at IIFA Awards, and it carries a foreword by Mr. Amitabh Bachchan. He has also co-authored another book titled Bollywood, the Films, the Songs, the Stars, which was released in 2017. His third book, The Bachchans, is soon to be released. Hi, I'm Nazneen Kashwala, and I'm happy to host Mr. SMM Ausaja, and I welcome you all to this episode of Hashtag's Human Library podcast. So welcome to this episode of my podcast.
Thank you. I hope the sound is fine.
Yes, it is perfect. It is perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So I'll start by asking you that how did this love for Indian cinema evolve with time, and what is the story behind your passion for Indian cinema?
See, I was always film crazy, and having grown up in 70s and 80s, the influence of Amitabh Bachchan was tremendous. So, as a fan boy, I started collecting his posters, his postcards, his magazine covers, because I grew up in Lucknow and Kanpur. So that's all that was there available out there. And I was in school, so it was very difficult to save through your pocket money and then buy these things, because even if the postcard is 1 rupee, it was still expensive, in those days. So anyway, so that's how the journey started. And when I completed my graduate, it continued, and I continued to write also for cinema in terms of like my first assignment was with Lucknow City magazine, where I was regularly reviewing films,
Yeah.
and during my graduation days. And when I shifted to Mumbai, that's mid 90s. That's
Yeah.
when I started expanding my collection beyond
Mm.
Bachchan. When I saw that there are so many other things valuable which are meant to be collected and preserved.
Mm.
So my focus shifted, and from micro I went macro, and it was uh, it was a joy, but it's also a very it's a passion driven trait that a person should have to be able to survive as an archivist or a collector. So when the
Right.
passion is there, then you don't consider the commercial or the monetary terms of it. So that's the reason why I survived, because I could uh, I it gave me great joy to collect things which people don't have, which people have discarded, which people don't know about. And during the journey, I became a film historian by default, because there's so much to read. When you get old magazines, when you get old newspapers, when you get to see old stuff,
Mm.
so you learn about it. That's how I evolved.
Right. So, sir, like, this is like your hobby, and as you said, that eventually it evolved into passion. So I want to know that how did this shape you as a person? If you look back at your journey, how do you think that this activity or this passion of yours has shaped you as a person, as a human being?
Uh, I think it made me cerebral because with cinema, with my love for cinema, I could feel and see society.
Hmm.
I could uh, engage myself in different stories which are of human triumph. I
Hmm.
could understand fashion better. I could understand language better. I could understand emotions better.
Hmm.
So I think in so many ways, cinema is an influence, not just on me, but on
Yeah.
any individual who has that kind of love for cinema. So it has evolved me, and also the passion for collection has evolved me as a writer and it served as a knowledge bank for me.
Right. Right. So this is something which started off as hobby, then it turned into passion, and as per what I understand, it eventually turned out to be a cause. In long term, it became a cause-driven activity. So I want to ask you that why is archiving cinema, or why is collecting the posters and the film memorabilia, why is it important to preserve this heritage for posterity? And what are your thoughts on this?
To understand this, first one has to understand why is cinema important.
Yeah.
It is important because it is a reflection of our times. It is a reflection on politics. It is a reflection on art. It is a reflection on society. It is a reflection uh, on fashion, on uh, on different festivals, how they are celebrated,
Mm.
on the the value of women in society in different times, how how the language has evolved, and different aspects. Whether you look at art, whether you look at commerce, whether you look at society, whether you look at treatment of women, whether you look at social issues,
Mm.
political issues, everything of every era is in some way or the other recorded in cinema.
Yeah.
Even if you look at the streets of 70s, you will see so many cars which you've not seen, which don't
Correct.
exist anymore.
Yeah.
So there's so many aspects to cinema. It is a reflection of society at any given point of time.
Right. Right, sir. And
So that is
I.
the reason why it is important that cinema should be archived, because it is a form of history
Mm, mm, mm.
of our society.
Correct. Right.
So it is important in that way. It is not just entertainment. That is the reason why cinema is now an essential element of the media studies across the globe.
Exactly.
But if we don't value it, if we let it perish, then I think we are doing a disservice for the future generations.
One of your books, which is Bollywood in Posters, as you said, and as I have researched, is basically about paying tribute to the artisans who used to make posters with hand. Now, that art is already obsolete. And I think those artists are also gone. The art is also gone. And that probably we have lost that entire frame of art now. But now, since you have got a big collection of posters, of those handmade posters with you right now, I want to ask you that what is your take on this? How do you view this entire situation?
The posters globally were made by hand, designed by hand, all through 70s and even in the 80s.
Hmm.
The art gradually died with the advent of hand of the photographs and of the digital press.
Hmm.
That's when the lithographic press went obsolete.
Hmm.
So whatever was printed on lithographic press was primarily uh, in terms of film publicity. They used to be uh, hand designed posters.
Yeah.
This art form is obsolete because the lithographic press is no more. and the artists, of course, they are no, most of them are no more, and the whole concept changed to digital art and digital printing.
Right.
So whatever has survived, very it's a very small fraction of what of the whole treasure of posters across decades that has survived. So I think that whatever has survived needs to be preserved and nurtured, because it's beautiful art. And my book is not just a tribute on the hand painted posters and their artists, but it's also a tribute on the greatest films that have been made in Hindi cinema so far. So
Right.
it is important to not just appreciate, but also understand the kind of passion with which the film publicity was created across decades.
Right. And so do you see a difference in the kind of passion that you mentioned with which the film was promoted earlier and today? It's just a question which came across my mind out of curiosity.
Yeah, of course, whale of a difference, whale of a difference. Today, it is very easy to promote a film on a click of a button.
Yeah.
Earlier, there used to be so many, activities involved with the promotion. In some cities, there were rickshaw pullers with the loudspeaker of
Yeah.
playing their songs,
Yeah.
and the posters were hanged across the rickshaw.
Yeah.
In some cities, if it's a grand film like Mughal Azam, elephants were hired, and posters were hung on both sides of the elephant, and the songs were played on top of the elephant, and the elephant walked across the streets.
Oh.
This is the kind of publicity that used to happen. Then there used to be huge hoardings, hand painted hoardings across the city.
Yeah.
Then there used to be radio programs especially for a particular film. Especially people like Amin Sayani used to sponsor those programs and participate in those programs and create those programs. So across board there used to be different forms of publicity. Like even in theaters there used to be slides which used to appear during the interval, the coming soon slides. Even those slides were handmade and hand painted. So lot of forms of art have disappeared with the advent of the digital age.
Right. Right, sir. So, since you just mentioned about the importance of cinema, like it works across all the cultures, political, social scenarios, and I believe, and I'm very sure that you also believe that cinema holds a big responsibility in educating the society in various ways. So, what do you think that has our Indian cinema? How far has our Indian cinema fared in carrying out this responsibility across time?
By and large, it has served its responsibility, I would say. Right from the age of, right from pre-independence, when cinema, despite the control of the British, hinted at revolution and freedom in different ways. Then post-independence, the cinema, you can see cinema celebrating freedom. Then in the 50s and 60s, you would see cinema celebrating Nehruvian socialism. You would see cinema inclusive. You would see cinema having a heart and pointing out the social issues in a relevant form. But largely, in the last millennium, cinema has been very, very responsible and very very topical, and it has also done its role in whatever way it could to at least alarm the society on certain issues which were under the carpet. But gradually one can see that cinema has come under the influence of the ruling regimes. This has happened from the turn of the millennium. It started, and now it is very obvious that cinema is is under the influence of government largely, which I feel is really sad, because cinema should be independent. It should be farthest from political leanings. Only then it would be able to honestly serve the society,
Mm.
or else it will not do its role in a manner that it should. That's my opinion. I may be wrong,
Yeah.
but that's a personal opinion.
Right, sir. And so, since we are, discussing about the cultures and the reflections of the cultures through Indian cinema, I just want to strike a comparison. Like there, what I feel is that there has been a lot of influence of the Western cultures as well. In the recent times, when we look upon cinema, so the way we portray certain subjects have changed from the past. Now, that could be considered as an evolution, but since, like as I said, I just want to make a comparison between the two cultures, and probably this could not be a right comparison, or an apple to apple comparison as we see it, but I feel that even today in Indian cinema, the movies are largely influenced by superstars, and we are very selective in picking the subjects from the West. Let's say we don't have certain genres doing rounds here. We don't have sci-fi genres here in Indian cinema. So how do you see this entire situation? Like, how do you compare the Western cinema with the Indian cinema, and our pickiness of choosing the subject in serving the audiences?
The Western cinema has always influenced Indian cinema, and I don't see anything wrong in that, because cinema has to draw influence from somewhere, and it is very easy to draw it from cinema elsewhere. But having said that, I should also point out that Western influence has not been very, very uh, powerful on Indian cinema. There have been instances of it, but Indian cinema held its own also concurrently. And that's the reason why, if you have films which are directly lifted from Western films, there are also films which are, original, and talk about the issues and the society, which is uh, totally Indian and
Mhm.
original thoughts. So it has always been like this. But I feel I don't see any reason why an influence should be considered bad.
Right.
Especially, if you have an interesting subject, supposing in Argentina, obviously it won't reach masses in India if you don't convert it to Indian context and present it.
Mm.
See, even if you're not using an influence from abroad, you would still need some kind of a writer to give you some kind of an idea, even if it is
Mm.
Indian. So there has to be some influence from somewhere to develop a project, whether it is a
Mhm.
topic, whether it is you know, I don't, one should look at uh, a world without boundary.
Mhm.
You pick up ideas and you create them, and you serve the society. Whether you
Right.
entertain or you educate, you decide what you have to do. But
Correct.
I feel that Western influence is nothing, there's nothing wrong in it, but I feel it has been always there, and it will always be there. There are certain uh, commercial considerations for which topics are taken. The, in in some instances, the the themes are so strong that they influence the producer and the director, and they create uh,
Yeah.
a similar film. But
Mm.
it has always been there, because if you look at Bimal Roy's uh, Do
Mm.
Biga Zameen, there was an influence. If
Yeah.
you look at uh, Guru Dutt's Bazi, his debut film, there was a clear Western influence. Some people say it is Rita Hayworth's Gilda.
Mm.
So it has always been like this. But I don't see anything to scoff at in this
Right.
aspect.
Mm. And so there has been, like, a popular notion making rounds that only films like Slumdog Millionaire, which probably portrays India or Indian society in a demeaning, or in a lower frame, makes to the Oscars. Is it true, or what do you think about this, sir?
But why is Oscar so generously rated?
Yeah.
My question is that. There's an American awards element. There's an American awards agency that has gone global because Hollywood's influence is global. But I see no reason why there should be an obsession for a validation from Hollywood. Would they be able to understand Premchand to be able to award a film which is close to Premchand's ideology and writing? What would they understand? If they could not award a single Ray film, if they could not award a single Bimal Roy film, what are we talking about?
Right.
So I don't consider Hollywood as a benchmark for greatness. Hollywood has its own biases. It has its own commercial agendas with which it functions, and it's known globally. And these days, films which are coming out of Hollywood are not, they are being criticized, and most importantly, they are all, under the political influence.
Okay.
In some way. And individual countries are making better cinema. Whether it is India, whether it is Iran, whether it is Russia, you have fantastic films coming out of these countries. Just because a platform like Hollywood will not even consider these films worthy of acceptance, that doesn't mean that their value is less.
But then
it's time we lessened our obsession for Hollywood or for Oscars, because it is their awards. Let them give whosoever they want to give. We have our own award systems, and I feel that the biggest award is the appreciation and the popularity of a film.
Among these people?
Yeah.
Okay, but then, sir, how do we reach, like, how do we talk about our culture, and how do we put a word across different cultures about our society? How do we do that? Because what I feel is that what I completely agree with what you said, but again, these platforms are also, as you said, is global, and probably could act as a platform through which we could project our culture and our heritage to the world.
They should allow that platform to us. The question is that, will they allow?
Yeah.
It is all agenda driven. I'm sorry, but that's the fact. I don't see any reason why we should get a validation from them. Now, in the age of, in the digital age, in the age of convergence, I don't think we need any platform like Hollywood or Oscars to make our films reach globally.
Right.
They're already global, in my opinion. At a click of a button, people can access our films and watch them. Earlier, it was not the case.
Right. And also, so I think the big culture of, going to watch a movie into a cinema hall on the big screen probably is also becoming obsolete now. Like, just as when you were saying, it came to my mind, because as you said, it's just everything is available on the click of a button with the rise of OTT platforms and everything. And we are seeing a transition in this culture of the cinema again. And I'm not quite happy with it, because that was probably, a family time, a time with friends. And right now, what is happening is that all of us are sitting down in seclusion with our mobile phones, with our laptops, with our tablets, and watching a movie and enjoying it alone. So that's my take. I don't know how you see it, sir.
See, because of convergence, everything is coming on the mobile.
Yeah.
So everybody, when he's at a click of a button, you're watching a movie on your mobile. Why would you venture out in a theater and watch? So that experience, unfortunately, is gone because people don't have time. They don't want to spend that much of money. So these are the twin reasons why the theaters will eventually, I think, deplete. And most of the single screen theaters are already gone.
Yeah, right.
But you will never see the kind of craze and the kind of joy of watching a film which was there in the 70s and 80s, or even in the 90s, although 90s is full of video piracy. But till 80s, yes, it was massive. you will not believe the queues for Amitabh Bachchan's Shahenshah were almost, when you're standing on the street, till your vision, you could see a queue. His films used to cross 100 days, 25 weeks, 50 weeks. That was the average.
Yeah.
Fully crossed 75 weeks. Diwar crossed 100 weeks. Trishul crossed 3 years. Which film lasts even 3 weeks these days?
Right. I agree. Yeah.
Forget Sholay, I'm talking about his other film.
Yeah, I agree.
Even Bade Miyan Chote Miyan did a Silver Jubilee. Imagine. In the 90s when he was down and out.
Yeah.
As per the press.
Right.
So, yes, those were the days. Those were days when there was a lot of buzz and excitement and craze for cinema and film stars. These days, because people are flooded with films and film stars across platforms, so the whole buzz and craze has diminished.
Correct. Right. So you mentioned, a couple of films about Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, and also you have written and researched a book titled The Bachchans. So would you like to talk a little about it?
See, in my opinion, there's nobody bigger than him in the industry. This industry has produced its biggest star. And it's not a joke that you survive for almost 5 decades at the top. No actor has been able to do it anywhere.
Yeah.
And there have been years when he has delivered 4, 5 hits in a year. Like 1978, like 2004. 2004, imagine.
Yeah.
He's delivered 4 hits in a single year. So there is something extraordinary about the man. It's not just his humility and his acting abilities and there's something beyond him, because he is one actor who, if he plays a poor villager, he excels. If he plays a millionaire, he excels.
Yeah.
You give him a Haryanvi, he creates a Navakalal. You give him Urdu, he creates a Kuli. You give him Bihari, he creates a Lal Badshah. What a brilliant performance! And you give him Audhi and he creates a string of hits. So he's a pan-Indian phenomena. He's a global phenomena. He's beyond words. And I feel blessed that he has blessed me with his presence on my books and whatever he wrote about me. And he inaugurated the exhibition that I hosted on him twice. So I feel fortunate that I get some appreciation from him. That's my Oscar.
Right. Right, sir. So I just want to know, what is it, according to you, that he does differently?
Many things. As an actor, he is always on time. The others don't turn up. He's sitting there, but he's on time. So he has been consistently professional. He respects time. He respects co-actors and technicians. He has been very particular about his diction, his the way he performs. He's very, very tech savvy. He has been with the times. He has never turned obsolete for in all these years. He has been very aware of what is happening in Indian cinema and in world cinema. So he has moved with the times. That is something that most actors, at least of his generation, have not been able to do.
Right.
That is, I think, one of the reasons why he has survived for so long.
Correct.
Of course, the biggest reason is his own talent, which is incomparable. But other than that, he has so many other qualities which you have to just respect, because it's very difficult to get so many good qualities in a single man.
Right.
So that way, he's inspirational. It has been a very inspirational journey. And when I was writing my book, I I didn't interview him. You will be surprised. Because I told him, whatever you have spoken about yourself, you've spoken honestly, and it's there across the media. I should not write a book which is again your perspective. Those books are already out in the market. So I did
Okay.
my own research so that the perspective is different and you get to see the man beyond his own focus.
Hmm.
If it's only his focus on a book, then it's his perspective.
Right.
I wanted a different perspective, and I told him I don't need your interview. I will do my research. You just release the book. So he was
Okay.
surprised, but he understood.
Right. And has he read the book? And how did he find it?
No. The book is in the design state right now. So once the design is over, then I'll show him a copy, of course.
Okay.
But he has not read the book.
All right. All right, sir.
And the book
Sir.
has focus on his craft, and it is about 4 individuals from a family and their success, not just Amitji. So
Yes.
it starts with his father and ends at Aishwarya Rai. So
Right.
5 individuals in a family.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so we just talked about, your biggest, like the person you look upon as probably an idol, and you are a big Bachchan fan, or probably you just, as you said, that you look, there's a lot to learn from him. Now, let's talk about one such Bollywood movie that probably has been, according to you, which has been very relevant to its times, and very much, it has very much deeply passed on the message of its the time in which it was released, and the message that it wanted to pass across, and which struck you that, okay, this is the movie which says it all, which with which I connect the most.
There have been several movies which have succeeded in sending their message across beautifully. There's Bazaar, Saga Saradis. There's Manmohan Desai's Amar Akbar Anthony,
Hmm.
path-breaking film.
Hmm.
It was a masala entertainer, but the kind of national integration that it projected within that masala has
Hmm.
become, a topic of discussion across decades.
Hmm.
And it has been consistently relevant
Hmm.
because as long as India remains plural, that film will remain relevant.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that film is extremely important. Then, of course, so many of Bimal Roy films,
Hmm.
early films of V. Shantaram, Mehboob Khan.
Hmm.
These were visionaries. These filmmakers really, had the guts to pick up a topic and do justice to it and deliver it in such a way that it appeals to the masses as well as the classes.
Hmm. Right.
So a
Okay.
lot of films have been like this. But Amar Anthony, I would point out because
Yes.
I feel its reach was huge and
Hmm.
yet it delivered what it wanted to deliver. So my salute to Manmohan Desai.
Yes, and it was a great movie. I think I used to watch that. I have watched that movie a number of times as a child. I mean, just as I said, because I at that time didn't understand what the concept, what it wanted to pass across. It's just by the value of the entertainment value that it brought across. So, but now I understand its importance. Like now, since I have been able to contemplate on the subject, I know how important it would have been then. Probably it is important now as well. Uh, so this is also, right now we are seeing an era of remakes. So many
Era of?
remakes.
Okay.
So many old movies have been, refashioned. So the storyline is the same. Probably the dialogues are the same. The pickup lines are the same, and we are, serving the old wine in new bottle, as they say. How do you think? What do you think about this? Since our subject of discussion is reflection of the society. Uh, Are we lacking
It is a,
subjects now? Mhm.
no, I don't think we are lacking subject. It's just that producers are playing safe. They're picking up subjects which they feel have been successful in the past and they think they will reinvent those subjects and repackage those subjects and they'll be able to safely sail through the box office.
Mhm.
but it's not that easy. So many remakes have failed and so many have done well.
Yeah.
But it all depends on how you make it and what kind of effort you put in it and what is your uh, dedication towards presenting that particular subject, which is uh, relevant to today's audience.
Hmm.
Like Dawn was repackaged, and that repackaging was very intelligent, so it clicked.
Right. 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 Right.
And there have been
And
instances where sequels have not, sequels or remakes have not clicked, like
correct.
Sarkar 3, for instance.
Yeah.
The first two were really praised, but third one didn't do well.
Correct. Correct. All right. Um. So
Umrajan, remake,
it didn't work.
disaster. Yeah, disaster. So there have been instances where there's been success, and then there's been, it depends on how you present it and how you link it to the current generation.
Hmm. But I deeply pray that certain movies are left the way they are, and they are not they don't fall into this remake race like Mughal Azam. So I'm a big Mughal Azam fan, and I hope that nobody attempts to remake it. And if at all they attempt to do it, probably they do it very wisely, and they don't tamper with the kind of things and the kind of efforts. Probably I think it's not possible to remake Mughal Azam. That is what I feel, and I hope those things are
Well,
not attempted.
I agree with you because not just Mughal Azam,
Yeah,
nobody can make Sholay. They
yeah,
attempted it so many times.
yeah.
Nobody
I
can
think
make it.
there was a remake of Sholay, if I'm not wrong.
So many of them.
Yeah,
So many
right.
remakes. You know,
Yeah,
Aandhi Tufan was a remake. Karma
hmm,
was a remake.
yeah, right, sir.
So, but the impact is not there.
Exactly.
But I feel that uh, there's no need to touch the classics.
Hmm.
I personally feel so because you it's a Herculean task to do that, which I don't think. Uh, uh, I think it's a big risk there for
Yeah.
any producer director to do that.
Hmm, 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 hmm.
And people are more in sync and in love with those classics. So it will be very difficult to break that and turn them towards you.
Correct. Correct, sir. So I just want to ask you, and probably this is my last question. What are some of your recent collections that you have added, let's say, in the last 2 years?
So many things I keep picking up, yeah, because I've collected all Mr. Bachchan films, but I was not getting a poster of Manzil.
Okay.
So that is one film which has the song Rim Jim Gire Sawan, the very famous song. So that poster finally I got. I got it in 4 parts. It was torn in, it was in 4 parts literally. So I had to send it to a professional restorer to get it
Hmm.
restored.
And this was
So
a
that's a
hand paste. Sorry
yeah,
to
yeah,
interrupt.
yeah,
Hand paste.
yeah.
Okay.
So these these kind of things give me great joy.
Hmm.
Then there is a photo of Mr. Bachchan's parents and I.K. Gujral and Khwaja Ahmed Abbas sitting together in the screening of his first film, Saath Hindustan.
Oh, wow.
That essentially is the beginning of his journey, that photograph.
Yes. Yes. Hmm.
So that photo I have. Then there is this, there's a lobby card of Diwar, which is very close to my heart because that has that famous Mere Paas Maa Hai sequence.
Okay.
And then for Mughal Azam, I have the original theater ticket when the film released.
Oh, that's amazing.
And
So,
I have a photograph of Dilip Kumar working in Mother India. Initially, he was doing the role of Rajendra Kumar. Then he was replaced by Rajendra Kumar.
okay.
So I have that still of Mehboob Khan directing uh, Dilip Kumar in the fields. Then I have a still of Dharmendra being directed by Kamal Roy for Pakiza.
Mm.
Dharmesh was doing Pakiza. Later on, he was replaced. So these kind of things give me great joy, and
Right.
I don't think anybody has. So I feel pride, a sense of pride and achievement when
Yeah.
I get these things.
Mm. And so, when do we see you putting up a museum of your collections?
Museum is not possible for any individual because across the globe, museums are always dependent on grants or government support.
Okay.
In India, unfortunately, there's not much of a scope for museums because we are not we have been largely negligent towards our own culture and tradition and heritage, and film heritage is no exception. I hope people wake up and people start at least archiving and documenting the past, whatever is left, so that at least for the future generation, there's a robust reference of what happened in the past decades.
Right. Right. I would say it would be, I feel it would be like a wonderful experience to have a museum of your collections. And I really feel that there should be an attempt to put up a museum, because this, as you said, is like a big historical collection, and we can go in the past and learn so much about our culture, about the times, the changing times that we've seen. And
See, uh, I appreciate your suggestion, but the problem is again that at an individual level it can't be done. But
yeah.
what I can do at an individual level, I've been doing. I
Hmm.
did Amitabh Bachchan's 70th birthday exhibition. That was
Hmm.
the first exhibition on Amitabh Bachchan anybody has ever done in this country.
Hmm.
And I repeated it on his 75th birthday
Yeah.
on a bigger scale.
Right.
Both were inaugurated by him. Then I've done an exhibition on the life and times of Javed Akhtar.
Okay.
Then I did the journey of Bengali cinema, an exhibition in Calcutta. So
Hmm.
these are the kind of events that I do
Hmm. Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
to do whatever little from my end I can do
Right. And I
for
think you
people
have
to.
also done an exhibition on Dilip Kumar sir's
Not yet,
life.
not
Not
yet,
yet.
not yet. But
Okay.
I would love to do that. I'm planning more such exhibitions, but
Right.
let this Corona thing subside,
Yeah.
because otherwise it's very difficult.
Yeah. And I really
Or maybe
hope,
something online.
yeah. And I really hope that more hands join into your mission, and then probably make like this could probably extended to becoming a museum, and not just like an individual activity of putting it up or limiting it to an exhibition. I really, really
I
hope
would,
that this happens.
yeah, I would love it if I get that kind of support somewhere. But
Right.
till the time it doesn't happen at an individual level, whatever little I can do, I'm doing.
Yes, ma'am. Sir, I had a really wonderful time talking to you. And I just want to know if there's anything that you would want to add in this conversation, something that I have missed, or something that you feel from your side that you would want to say.
See, I would like to request people to invest in cinema heritage. You know, people, if you buy art, you buy coins, you buy film posters, you buy film stills which are original. They will definitely, even if you buy it for an investor's point of view, they would still appreciate, and it won't be a losing proposition for you.
Hmm.
So people should buy and people should start collecting on an individual level. Only then the the society will realize the value
Hmm.
of this culture, this fading tradition of uh, collecting film memorabilia. It
Right.
is, I feel, more and more people should collect in whatever capacity they can, since we don't have, beyond National Film Archives, we don't have any entity which can do justice to this kind of uh, an activity. Only
Hmm.
if stray individuals like me are doing it, a handful of
Hmm.
them across the country, and that's it. And we are doing whatever little we are doing out of love and passion.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
But if more people join in, it is, I think it will be good, and people will start understanding the value of all this, and there will be a awareness for preserving cinema heritage, which is most
Correct.
important.
Correct, sir. Correct. Thank you, sir. I had a wonderful time discussing the subject with you, and I really hope that probably we can take up this topic in detail, maybe in some other episode of this podcast. Maybe when this evolves and probably your activity evolves, probably we can again come together to record one more episode. And I'm really, really
Certainly.
honored. I'm really honored and thankful to you for your time. Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you so much, Nandini. Thank you.
Thank you.